Good afternoon, Divisions 1 and 2, third French lesson. Before we start this, you need to ask yourselves a couple questions. Have you started lesson 1? Lesson 1 was the regular RE verbs. You didn't have to complete it, but you did have to do one or two of the RE verbs from that list I gave you each week, just the same as we would if we were in the classroom. And of course, it doesn't have to be completed until June when I start writing your final reports. But you do have to have at least started that list. Otherwise, what we're going to do today won't make any sense. The other question you got to ask yourself is, did you at least start the second French lesson, which was the avoir and être, to have and to be verbs? That concept needs to be mastered before we start what we're doing today. So if you didn't do that, you need to stop the video now, go back and do lesson 2, avoir and être, because if you haven't mastered that, you're not going to be able to do what we're doing today. So please do that. All right, for those of you that have, or you feel like you've mastered avoir and être, and you understand the concept of an ER, IR, and RE verb, we're going to do the Passe Compose, which means the completed past tense. You're going to need to write notes on this. It's actually not hard at all. You're going to notice at the end it's very easy. However, there's a process to it and you have to do things in the right order or it's just not going to work. So if you haven't yet, pause your video, go get yourself pen and paper. A couple of colors like highlighters or markers will really help for your note taking. And you'll see with mine, I've color coordinated them and that's really going to help. So be prepared to pause the video and write notes. You're going to need notes for Passe Compose. So the Passe Compose means the past tense. All those verbs we've been doing up to now are present tense, meaning they're happening right now. En français, we say le présent. So here's just a review of what the present tense is. So for ER, IR, and RE verbs, you would take off your ending, add your magic ending, and there you go. You have the basis to write a sentence in the present tense, something that's happening right now. So those examples I gave you, je parle, with the ER verb means I talk. I talk loudly when I talk into my microphone. Il finit, he finishes. He finishes his avoir and être verbs before he starts Passe Compose. There's an example of an IR verb in present tense. For the RE example I just gave you, nous vendons, we sell. We sell fruit on the corner of the street when we're not social distancing. All right, so that's what we've been doing up until now. Passe Compose, or the completed past, is an action that happened before, like yesterday, for example, or even long before that. So it is a completed action in the past. There's other past tenses called the imparfait or imperfect, the plus que parfait or pas perfect, which are things that might have started in the past but weren't yet finished, or they started in the past and they're ongoing. Not Passe Compose. Passe Compose is an action that started in the past and it finished in the past. It's done, it's over, it's not happening again. So here's your first set of notes on le Passe Compose. You can pause that, take some notes. All right, so the action both started and finished in the past. I gave you an example of an ER verb, an IR verb, and an RE verb. So here, j'ai parlé. Il a fini. Nous avons vendu, which translates to I talked. Yesterday, I talked quite loud into my microphone. Il a fini. He finished. Yesterday, he finished his avoir être verbs. Nous avons vendu. We sold. Yesterday, I sold fruit on my fruit stand. Alrighty, so what did you notice? What's different between Passe Compose and le présent? The past and the present, what was different? If you said the Passe Compose has 3 words, whereas the present only has 2, You are absolutely right. So this is a big thing to note. Passe Compose has 3 words. Like all the other ones, it starts with a personal pronoun. So that is the person doing the action. You can use a personal pronoun or someone's name. You could replace il with the name of a man or a boy. The second word is called the auxiliary, and all it is a conjugated form of avoir or être, which you've already done. And then you've got the past participle. And the past participle, just like conjugating verbs in the present tense, there's a little magic trick to it, and I'm going to show you that. All right, so we're going to break this down. We're going to talk about all 3 of those words separately. Let's talk about the personal pronouns first. This is a review. You guys know this. So there we go. Want to pause your video and write these down. So just like before the personal pronouns, it is best to learn these in that order, starting with the singular, meaning one person, ending with the plural, meaning 2 or more people. And here's the order: je, tu, il, elle, or I, you, he, she, or I, you, boy's name, girl's name. Ending with the plurals, the multiple people or groups of people: nous, vous, il, elle, which translates to we, you, or you all, they, and they. All right, so that's no different than present tense. You're going to do your personal pronouns in that order when you're conjugating the verb. And then when you come to writing sentences, you're going to ask yourself who's doing the action, or what group of people are doing the action. And then you're going to match it up to one and choose one. Now let's talk about the auxiliary. That's the word in the middle, the second word. The auxiliary, there we go. You can pause your video, write the notes. The auxiliary is basically just your conjugated form of avoir and être, which is why I said you really need to get those 2 verbs down before you start this. For now, we are only going to focus on the ones that use avoir, which is the bulk of them. The majority of them use avoir as their auxiliary. Être, there's a little trick to it. We're going to do that next week or the week after, so don't even worry about that. So basically, you're going to conjugate the verb avoir next to the personal pronouns. So once again, j'ai, tu as, il a, elle a, nous avons, vous avez, ils ont, elles ont. That's your auxiliary. Now let's talk about the past participle. This is the part where you have to tweak it a little bit, depending on whether or not it's an ER, IR, or RE verb. Just like before, you're going to take off the ending. Whatever the ending is, ER, IR, or RE, take it off and you're going to add a magic ending. So pause your video. So for your ER verbs, you're going to take off the ER and replace it with E with the acute accent or accent aigu. For your IR verbs, you're going to take off the IR and replace it with just an I. For the RE verbs, you're going to take off the RE and replace it with just a U. Now here's the good news. The past participle is the same for every one of the personal pronouns. So basically, as long as you can conjugate your verb avoir, you can do your passé compose. All right, so those 3 examples I gave you earlier with the ER verb, which was parler or to talk, the IR verb, which was finir or to finish, and the RE verb, which was vendre or to sell. I'm going to do those for you, all 3 of them. You're really going to need to have notes on this. So good time. All right, so that was parler, which was the ER. So you're going to take off the ER and you're going to add your E with the acute accent for parler. The past participle is the same for them all. Then of course you've got your, this one isn't je, it's J apostrophe, J apostrophe, just because this starts with a vowel. Then we've got tu as, Il a, elle a. It's our whole avoir. Nous avons, vous avez, ils ont, elles ont. And then you attach your past participle. Now you've got the past tense of parler, which means to talk. So that translates to, I talked. Yesterday, I talked loud into my microphone. Tu as parlé. You talked. Yesterday, you talked loud into the microphone. Il a parlé. He talked. Elle a parlé. She talked. Nous avons parlé. We talked. Vous avez parlé. You all talked. Ils ont parlé. They talked. And elles ont parlé. They talked. Remember, we only use this one when you know there's a group of people who are all female and you know that. Otherwise, just default to this one. All right, so that's your ER verb. Let's do your IR verb. Pause the video. Write those down. So again, for finir, we took off the IR. We added the magic ending, which is just the letter I. That's your past participle for the whole verb. Here's your pronunciation. J'ai fini, which translates to I finished. Yesterday, I finished my avoir-être verbs. Tu as fini. Il a fini. Elle a fini. Nous avons fini. Vous avez fini. Ils ont fini. Elles ont fini. There's your IR. Now let's do your RE. Pause your video, write those down. Again, take off the RE, add the magic ending, which is a U. Vendu is your past participle for them all. Here's your pronunciation guide. J'ai vendu. I sold. Yesterday I sold fruit at the fruit stand. Tu as vendu. Il a vendu. Elle a vendu. Nous avons vendu. Vous avez vendu. Ils ont vendu. Elles ont vendu. If you're hearing a Z sound there, that's called a liaison. In French, when a word ends with an S and the next one starts with a vowel, which these all do, they're either an A or an O, the S sound kind of turns into a Z. So, nous avons, vous avez. That's what I'm doing there. It's a little harder. Don't feel like you need to master that right away. All right. So now you know how to conjugate an ER, an IR, and an RE verb in the Passe Compose, meaning an action that happened yesterday or sometime in the past, and it's done, it's over with. All right, so here's your assignment. For now, we're going to keep it simple, and I just want you to practice putting those 3 words of the Passe Compose together. Hopefully, you're going to be able to do this quickly. Give me the feedback, though. So I want to pause your video and write that down. So you're going to conjugate the following regular verbs in the Passe Compose. So the first 2 are an ER, number 3 and 4 are an IR, and number 5 and 6 are an RE. Here's what I'd like you to do. For the first ER, first IR, and first RE, so for number 1, 3, and 5, I want you to go back through all your notes and do them piece by piece, making sure you've done it correctly in the right order. Then try to do number 2, 4, and 6 from memory. The only trick is figuring out what the past participle is. As long as you've memorized your avoir, there's nothing else to remember. Okay, so it seems like a lot, but it's actually not. If you've memorized your avoir, and then of course how to do your past participle, this is the biggie for this one. You're gonna do this quite quickly. So we're gonna end it there because I want to make sure you guys can do that. Later on, we're going to learn which verbs use être as their auxiliary. That's a lesson for another day. And we're also going to practice putting these in sentences with a little creative assignment where you guys get to imagine that you're traveling to a French-speaking part of the world. and there's a lot of them. There's ones in Africa, Asia, all over Europe. Loads of fun. Yeah, so go conjugate some Passe Compose. And send me that whenever you can. 1 week for this. Next week, we are going to continue with the être auxiliary. Take care.